Yo, what's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the daily live stream. Do me a favor, hit that like button for me. As you guys come inside the live stream, also say what's up in the chat. It does a ton for the channel. We appreciate you guys. Okay, so I wanted to go live a little earlier today because on Sunday I didn't go live, and that's my bad, guys. You guys know I like to put a lot of discipline around myself on a Sunday. That's usually my Sabbath day or the day I do not go live, so I try to be consistent with that. Even though I was off, it still is my Sabbath, so my fault about that. I wanted to play the clip for you guys that I would have played yesterday, and then we'll just jump into just a few news clips just for the daily live stream and just to catch up and to see what's going on. I was off for a couple of days last week due to being sick, so yeah. My fault about that, guys, but we are back. Do me a favor again, hit that like button. Make sure you interact with one another in the chat, and make sure you're respectful to all mods, subscribers, and supporters. If you're not, that's the only thing that will get you banned off the channel. But other than that, welcome to the live stream, and let's jump right into the clip.
Two debtors who will love more. Luke 7:41-43. Jesus told a parable about a moneylender who forgave the debts of two people. One owed a large amount, the other a small amount. Then he asked, "Which of them will love him more?" Simon the Pharisee answered, "The one who had the bigger debt forgiven." Jesus replied, "You have judged correctly." This parable was given during a moment of deep contrast. Simon, a self-righteous Pharisee, looked down on a sinful woman who anointed Jesus' feet with perfume and tears. But Jesus revealed that her love was greater because she understood the depth of her forgiveness. What this meant in Jesus' time. This parable directly confronted the Pharisees' pride. They saw themselves as righteous and superior, believing they had little sin to be forgiven. In contrast, the outcasts, prostitutes, tax collectors, and sinners knew their brokenness and turned to Jesus with gratitude and love. Jesus wasn't saying that some people are naturally better or worse than others. Instead, he was exposing how self-righteousness blinds people to their need for mercy. The woman understood the depth of her sin and therefore received greater forgiveness than Simon, who didn't think he needed it. The message for today's world. This parable applies today because many fail to recognize their own need for forgiveness. Some act like Simon, thinking they are good people who don't need saving, while others realize the weight of their sin and turn to Jesus with genuine repentance, pride, and self-righteousness. Many believe they are good enough and don't need forgiveness, judging others while ignoring your own sin. People condemn addicts, criminals, or the immoral, forgetting they also fall short of God's holiness. Hardness of heart. Some refuse to show love or mercy, thinking others don't deserve it. False spiritual superiority. Many people attend church, read the Bible, and follow religious rules, but lack true love for Jesus. Lust, vanity, and greed. The world is consumed with self-indulgence, chasing pleasure, wealth, and status instead of recognizing their deep need for grace. Two types of people in this world. The Pharisee, the self-righteous person, thinks they don't need much forgiveness, judges others without looking at their own sins, has no deep love for Jesus because they don't realize what they've been saved from. The sinful woman, the repentant person.
All right, I'm gonna stop that right there. This was what I was live stream, and we're gonna save that for we're gonna save the rest of that for tomorrow. Let's jump in. Shout out to Democracy Watch. Charlemagne the Guard claps back after Trump calls him racist over Epstein comments.
This is the latest razor developed by Gillette, a super sharp and portable razor. It features
Charlemagne the God rips Donald Trump after calling him a racist. Here it is.
I think that traditional conservatives are going to take the Republican Party back. I think there's a political coup going on right now in the Republican Party that people aren't paying attention to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that this Epstein thing is going to be a way for traditional conservatives to take their party back. I really do. I think that they know this is the issue that has gotten the base riled up. The MAGA base isn't letting this issue go. And for the first time, they know they can, probably take their party back and not piss off the MAGA base. I think they're going to do that.
Charlemagne the God is politically, morally, socially correct. He is absolutely correct. Now, he's simply calling it as it is. He did not suggest that the Republicans created this Epstein thing. He is simply saying they've been waiting for the opportunity in order to capitalize on a weakness of Trump. It's called politics, ladies and gentlemen. There are Democrats waiting on Democrats for various reasons to do the same thing. And you don't think Republicans who have been publicly ousted among their own party ranks, from George W. Bush to Cheney to Romney, and then the others that we don't talk about as often, they're no more. It's only MAGA now. You don't think these individuals who have understood power for decades have been trying to get back at the wheel of authority? Come on now. So, of course, now the reason why Trump is upset at this statement is because hit dogs holler. And so as soon as Trump heard this statement, he has to respond. Trump has not been a fan of Charlemagne's recent remarks and fired back on Truth Social. The very wonderful and talented Laura Trump, whose show is a big rating success, put racist sleazebag Charlemagne the God. Why is he allowed to use the word God when describing himself? Question mark. Can anyone imagine the uproar there would be if I used that nickname? We know you want to, Don. Do it. Go ahead and do it. Do it, sir. Just do it. He's a low IQ individual, has no idea what words are coming out of his mouth, and knows nothing about me or what I have done. Man, you are a sad man. Sir, first of all, he went on Laura Trump's show and said it in her face. He was on Laura Trump's show and told your Laura, your daddy ain't ish. Told your Laura.
And this was something that a lot of people pointed out, that, Charlemagne was bold enough to go on there and kind of react like that. And he said it boldly. He was himself, like he always is. He was unapologetically himself. It was just the fact that, he was Charlemagne, and he made sure that he went on there and he said what he had to say.
He going down. His house about to happen. You had no criticism. Laura, who booked him, who listened to him, who seemed to kind of agree with him. But you had all the smoke for Charlemagne.
Want to transform your dark, dirty garage into a bright, clean space? It only takes a day
and you mad because people call him Charlemagne the God. And you would like to know why, if you said it, how people would respond to that. Okay. All right. This is very good. So shortly after, Charlemagne fired back at Trump, okay, in his own post. Quote, President Trump was better off going after Urkel, though because he is really scraping the bottom of the black barrel coming at me. Charlemagne wrote on his Instagram, then named others who Trump has recently targeted. You can't go from MLK Jr., President Obama, Oprah, Beyonce, to a sleaze bag named Leonard. The Lord Trump attempted to steer the interview back to her father-in-law's accomplishments. Charlemagne repeatedly challenged her claims. Anything that takes away Medicaid from people and puts them in a worse financial situation, I'm not for, he told the host. When she falsely claimed grocery prices were going down, Charlemagne simply said no. All right, he spoke about Trump's remarks on the Breakfast Club. Here it is.
Docket today for Monday, August 4th goes to President Donald J. Trump. Now, if you haven't heard, I was on Lara Trump's show, My View, on Fox this past weekend. Drop on the clues bombs for Lara Trump. She's been a guest on Breakfast Club before, so I had no problem showing up to her program. You know, I'm one of those silly rabbits who still believes in the First Amendment. Okay, freedom of speech. Thankfully, Lara is a Trump who still believes in freedom of speech because her father-in-law, the 47th president of the United States of America, did not take too kindly to some things I had to say. I mean, where is the lie? Trump's big, beautiful bill is going to make the rich richer and the poor poorer. Okay, the other issue I said on My View with Lara's Trump is I believe traditional conservatives are quietly staging a political coup to take their party back from MAGA. I explained this to y'all a couple of weeks ago.
And I don't know if it's even all that quiet. For example, where are his Republican defenders? Like, you know, JD, the vice president, every day. He just trickles things out every now and then. Or where the donors, the big money people that put Trump in there, where are they? They own major companies. They have platforms. They have newspapers. They have digital broadcast companies and normative broadcast companies. Where are they? Okay, so he also added, quote, listen, my fellow Americans, we are in a strange time right now, a time we have never seen. Because authoritarian strategy is being used against anyone who speaks out against this administration. He added, he called me a racist. I didn't mention race. Not one time on Lara Trump, I didn't bring up the fact that Trump issued an executive order directing oversight of institutions like the Smithsonian to remove or suppress narratives about systemic racism in Black history. Put Charlemagne up again.
And even if Charlemagne had made those claims, he wouldn't be wrong. He wouldn't have been wrong. But what Charlemagne doesn't appreciate is that he's like, basically, I could have went deeper. I could have said worse, and I didn't, and I still got called a racist regardless. So yeah, you got that outlook like, I should have said more. If this was going to be the final outcome, yeah, I should have just went all in if that was the case.
Isn't it ironic that our dear brother speaks more like the President of the United States, should speak, than the current President of the United States does speak? Thank you, dear brother, for the words. Sharing thoughts here.
Yeah, I love it. And to Charlemagne's obvi point about these Republicans, they're cowards. But I'll take it anyway. I can get it. They want to hide behind this Epstein thing. Let's write it out. Let's see what happens. And you also mentioned the billionaire backers, some who own newspapers. I think he's suing one, Trump is, right, who owns the Wall Street Journal. So there's that. And this thing about if I called myself God, remember Trump posted the AI picture of him as the Pope. Charlemagne's never done that. It's just his moniker. And finally to Lara Trump, who's not, I don't give her as much credit as Charlemagne does. I think when you're a live television host and you never tend to host dissent, you're not put through your paces. So you don't really have anything to say back. There's no retort except, interesting. Okay. So she got some calls and she's in trouble with daddy. And that's okay with me too. Keep going, Charlemagne. He hosts The Breakfast Club, and he talks more like the president. You're right. It's a beautiful show. You get information. It is like a wonderful club. It's fun, culture, and that's really talking more like the president.
Yeah, and also political insight on the program as well. Trump, just for the record, in your Christian Bible that I know you read every day, the Christ said, "Do ye not know that ye are gods?" That's where Charlemagne gets it from, bro.
All right, guys, let's jump over to the next clip. Shout out to the damage report. Magastar busted after wife romantic post backfired. This is Byron Donalds. His wife posted I think it was like an anniversary post of them. And somebody kind of called out the dates that she posted. I don't think insinuating he was cheating on his first marriage, but I'm not really sure where they were getting at with this, so let's take a listen.
Any pizza with any toppings for just $9.99 is Domino's best deal ever. Translation for basketball fans, it's like the...
And they had their first kiss or whatever. The partner of Republican Representative and Jim Crow defender Byron Donalds posted this romantic Valentine's message. This is Erica Donalds, who says, remembering the spot where Byron Donalds asked for my number in the Oglesby Student Union at Florida State in the fall of 1999. Our first date came a few months later on Valentine's Day 2000. Thanks, babe, for making all 27 of our Valentine's days together so special. And that is a sweet throwback photo, right? That they have the photo, that they can reminisce on all the time they've spent together. Little problem, though. Is it actually sweet, or is it at best bittersweet? Because some people have done some digging and they've found that it's actually a slightly more complicated picture vis-a-vis romance than it might seem from that photo. So Web Sleuths saw the date there because this is very specific, that image. It's not just the image. It's that they got together originally in fall 1999. They had a date, Valentine's Day 2000. Okay, well, based on that, let's go through the personal history of Byron Donalds. Because as Mehdi Hassan points out, in saying that she just tweeted out these dates, given it's a matter of public record, that he was married to his first wife at the time, just married, in fact. He had been married not that many months before he met her and they had their first kiss or whatever, and then began dating just a few months after that. He was a married man. So, look, I guess he's even more into romantic love than most, that he wants to have two halves of it, I guess. But that is kind of a serious thing. And that's not just speculation, by the way. That's not just Wikipedia. Public records confirm that Donalds married Bisa Hall June 19th, 1999, approximately 3 months before he allegedly approached his current wife at that university building in the photo. The congressman divorced Hall several years later and then married Erica Lees, like a couple months after that. But the relationship he had, because she said they had 27 Valentines together, she's laying out that they were together for all of that time. So he was apparently cheating on his wife for multiple years before divorcing her and then marrying his mistress at that time. Is that romantic? I don't know. Maybe if you were to word it carefully, it could be one of those interstitials from When Harry Met Sally, but first blush, it doesn't seem exactly what the spirit of the holiday is supposed to be. And by the way, Hall has previously described how the couple married primarily so she could qualify for cheaper in-state college tuition through his Florida residency. They didn't live together as a traditional married couple. Now, you just take a look at that and you think, okay, well then maybe it's not as bad that he was cheating on her, because they didn't actually get married because they were in love and wanted to be together. They got married for some sort of benefit. And I can understand that. In-state tuition is much cheaper. Again, I would then say throwing out accusations of other people getting married for some sorts of benefits or whatever kind of feels like a little bit hypocritical at that point when Byron Donalds and other Republicans do it. But sure, that could be it. Except early in their marriage, Hall said that divorce discussions arose, but Donalds rejected the idea, saying, no, I don't want to lose my wife, making it seem as if this was not just a transactional contract sort of thing. He was committed to her. I mean, he was evidently having an affair when he said that, but he did want to maintain his connection to both of these women. Now, Hall was apparently devastated until roughly a year later when Donalds broke up with his affair partner. So she found out about the affair, but later he broke up and decided to commit to his wife, I guess. He said, Erica and I have split up and I want to give it another chance. I want my wife back. Okay, that's good. But then she was left disappointed again when Lees revealed a pregnancy and Donalds demanded an expedited divorce. So he decided to dump his mistress to be with his wife, except that his mistress was pregnant, maybe had already been impregnated by the time he dumped her, or maybe he just maintained the affair anyway, I don't know, and then decided, actually I want that kid. I'm going to divorce you after all. So look, this is his personal life or whatever. I don't particularly care. He's said political things that bother me far more than any of this personal stuff, but I don't know. I just feel, considering how judgy the right can be about relationships and what marriage is supposed to look like and be like, bear in mind, they're once again trying to reinvigorate a push to outlaw gay marriage. I kind of feel like you could get your own ducks in a row before you start going around controlling other people's relationships, because whatever this is, and maybe this all makes sense from his point of view and it's their own personal lives and they're just doing their best. But from an outsider's perspective, it kind of looks like you didn't mean any of this stuff about marriage and you're just trying to kind of doing whatever you want and going for whatever you want. That's what it looks like to me. Anyway, there's some other stuff that she had to say, the first wife had to say about Byron Donalds. Evidently, he was not a lifelong conservative as he has pitched himself to be. He apparently wasn't very political and just eventually decided that's what I'm going to be. And he invented an alter ego for himself where he's this super conservative black man, according to her. So that's interesting. We've seen that before with people like J.D. Vance. Anyway, if he becomes nationally relevant, we can jump into all of those details. For now, though, I'll just leave it to Valentine's stuff, which is a bit icky.
Wind is insane. It was exactly like White House Survival. White House Survival simulates exactly this kind of extreme cold waves. Your city's temperature drops in real time. Energy supply determines life or death. And tech upgrades decide whether your entire survivor city can survive that snowstorm. You, commander of it all. Every decision you make matters, and only you keep your survivors alive. Come on, hurry and download White House Survival and experience the frozen apocalypse for yourself.
All right, shout out to Damage Report for recording that. But again, that just backfires on Byron Daniels' wife. It was just, again, people just gossiping, spreading rumors about things, saying that dates didn't line up. There were no allegations that, he was cheating in his first marriage or anything like that. But like I said, the way that the dates lined up, it kind of put a spotlight on her, so people brought it up. So up next, we're going to go over to Bill O'Reilly. He covered Obama's Homeland Security chief, right? So he covered a little bit of his interview talking to him about working with ICE. So he's asking the difference between Obama with working with ICE and kind of like what we're seeing right now. So let's go over there. Shout out to Bill O'Reilly.
Here's what I believe is the big difference, Bill.
So what is the difference between the agents, the ICE agents, under you and under Trump?
Well, there are elements of deportations. Is it expedited deportation of people who just crossed the border, or are you trying to deport people in the interior of the country who've been there for a very long time?
Well, you got to have a warrant. You got to have a reason, and that's what's unreported. The press won't report that if you don't show up for an asylum hearing, for example, you're right under the deportation list. You may not be a violent criminal, you may not have, but if you don't show up, you're out.
Right. So here's what I believe is the big difference, Bill. This administration started off, we're going to go after the worst of the worst. I think that's totally legitimate. In fact, that was my objective while I was in office. Go after the worst of the worst. But you don't try to achieve a quota for the sake of achieving a quota. You got to be smart about this. What is inevitably going to happen, which has happened in Minneapolis and other places, is the way ICE goes about its business becomes so controversial that the mayors, the city councils, the governors don't want to work with you anymore, which is essential if you're going to get at the worst of the worst for the benefit of public safety.
Okay, but you had that too, though. You had sanctuary. California was a sanctuary state when you were in office. They didn't cooperate with you.
And we had a program called Secure Communities, which I totally changed, rebranded to call the Priority Enforcement Program, so that I could get people like Bill de Blasio and Michael Nutter in Philadelphia to start working with us again. I'd encounter people in city councils in Chicago who I'd say, why don't you give us the guy who's undocumented, who just finished a lengthy prison sentence because he committed a felony. And the answer I got was, why should I do that? He's already served his time. He's been punished. Come on, he's undocumented. Right. So it was that kind of attitude that we would often encounter. And my response would always be, work with me now before you are faced with a crisis. You've got a murder committed by an undocumented person who was released from jail. Wouldn't you rather work with me now on this? So we were making great strides to do that. And what I used to say to leaders of ICE, Tom Holman included, who worked for me, use your common sense when you're on the streets conducting interior enforcement. One controversial incident could derail your entire mandate, your entire ability to work within a community to get stuff done and turbocharge the sanctuary cities community.
Thank you for watching. To view full episode.
Shout out to Bill O'Reilly for covering that. I appreciate him having him on there. I think he had, I think he made some pretty good points. You know, I did. I love the fact that he said you don't just try to meet a quota for the sake of meeting a quota. You know, you're smart about it. You're diligent about it. So I can appreciate that. All right, let's keep moving. Let's go over to AT2. Shout out to him. He covered Nick Fuentes enrages MAGA plus Fuentes supported Kamala Harris. Now let's take a listen.
That's the sound of an American local, hard at work. Want to be a part of it? Listen up. Hello.
I put this on Twitter, and literally go look at my replies.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2 here. Now, I never thought I would see the day where Nick Fuentes would turn into a Kamala supporter, but it seems like he's calling out the hypocrisy of MAGA, because I thought MAGA was supposed to be anti-war. They don't want any wars, but yet we're about to go to war with Iran. Now, he called out the hypocrisy because if Kamala was to do it, MAGA, they'd be up in arms. They'd be against it. But because it's Trump, they just excuse all the BS that he does. Let's go ahead and check out this video. But first, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And let's get to it, y'all. Here we go. And listen, before y'all comment, I know Nick Fuentes is a grifter. He'll just say anything that's the total opposite, just to enrage and make people mad. But I mean, if he's going to tear down the Republican Party within, let's help him do that. Here we go.
They're this tyrannical pariah state in the Middle East. It's the exact same story, and it's truly amazing. Now, here's the point. I'm not just restating what I said last night. What's truly remarkable is that in spite of this should be as cut and dry and open and shut and black and white as it could possibly be. In 2015, Trump said the war in Iraq was a mistake. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There weren't any. We spent all this money. We don't even have it. Like, that was the story in 15. Now, he's doing the exact same thing. He's doing the opposite of that. The literal opposite, as I've just demonstrated. The war which he once criticized, he's now selling. Now, here's the amazing thing. As black and white as this is, you still have, and I have seen it on my timeline all week, hundreds, if not thousands, of pro-Trump shills on Twitter that are supporting this. How is it possible? I tweeted this today. I said, if we get a war with Iran, forget it. I'm not voting in 26. I'm not voting for any member of this cabinet in 28, and nobody else should either. Why would we vote for the party that brings us Iraq 2? Not only is that a stupid idea, but it's also actually a complete betrayal of what this entire movement is about. So I put on Twitter today, I said, if we get this second Iran strike, if we're in a war with Iran, what's even the proposition? Just forget it. I won't vote for it. I won't vote for it in the midterms. I'm not going to vote for the vice president and secretary of state that have given this to us. And that's what they want the ticket to be, is Vance and Rubio. War in Iran brought to you by Vance and Rubio. Now get on board and vote for them in 28. So I put this on Twitter, and literally go look at my replies. Go look at the replies. Look at the top replies by likes. Look at the quote tweets. And there are no shortage of pro-Trump accounts, some of them boomers, some of them even Zoomers, and they're saying, well, I trust Trump. One guy says, I voted for Trump to put America first. If he thinks we should go to war with Iran, then we should go to war with Iran. This is the discourse. This is what's being said. This is what I see in my replies. You're a Democrat plant. How could you say that? And this vindicates what I said about Trump in 24. Herein lies the problem with the Trump victory. And I will keep saying this because it is true. The problem with Trump at this point is that whatever he does, no matter what it is, a significant percentage of middle American radicals will support it. Maybe most of them, maybe all of them. It doesn't matter what Trump does, what he says. It could be a complete betrayal of his own promises, of his own movement, of everything. It doesn't matter. Cover up the Epstein files. Go to war with Iran. Give up on mass deportations. 70% of the GOP base will defend it because it's him. That's the danger. And suddenly you go from a country which is primed to be radicalized. It's primed for right-wing populism. It's primed for an America First movement. And all of a sudden, now that Trump is thrust into the White House, now all of that revolutionary fervor is deflated. If Trump is doing it, they will eat it up. And that would not be true in the alternative.
I mean, it's no secret that Nick doesn't feel like Trump's administration is America first. He hasn't felt like that for some time now. So, and there's a lot of people that do feel like that now. They still have that feeling that, America's being run by Israel and Trump's listening to Netanyahu more than anybody else. So there's no secret that Nick feels like this. He's felt like this for some time. And there's also other people that feel this way too. So he's just kind of expressing this is what we're seeing. He feels like we started out with Trump very much America, 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 and now he doesn't see it that way. So, and he's not, like I said, he's not the first person that feels like that.
Case. And what I mean by that is, had Kamala won, let's say for the sake of example, she would be bringing us to war in Iran as well, without a doubt. The Israelis would be pushing her. The same interests would be pushing her. But if Kamala was bringing us to war in Iran, would any Republican support it? Not even Trump would support it. Not even Trump himself would support it. Trump would be on Truth Social, or I guess he would be in prison, but Trump would be against it. 100.
I like how he threw that in there. Yeah, he would be in prison, but he definitely wouldn't support it. And I don't think Kamala would have just been down for starting wars. I don't think that at all, but I'll let him cook.
100% of Republicans would be against it. Certainly, National Review would be cheering it on. They would say today is the day Kamala became the president when she bombed Iran. But that the right-wing populists, the majority of them, almost to a man, would be saying, wow, this is the deep state. This is the Clinton-Kamala machine. They just want endless wars. If she didn't release the Epstein files, they would be outraged. It'd be MAGA night at the White House. And that is the difference. Now, hear me out here. A lot of people are going to watch this clip, mark my words, and they're going to say, wow, he wanted Kamala to win. This guy's a Democrat. He can't let it go. He seriously thinks Kamala should have won. There would have been 3 million more illegals here by now. People are going to say that. The reason I am telling you this, and by the way, this is a fact. However this makes you feel, whatever the implications of this might be, this is a fact. What I am telling you is a fact. That much is indisputable. If Trump pushes something, 80% of Republicans will support it no matter what it is, even if it's a war with Iran. If Kamala did the exact same thing, 80% of Republicans would be against it. That is a fact. You cannot dispute this. When Trump brings us to war in Iran, as he did last June, 70-80% Republicans supported it. If Biden or Harris did it, they would be against it.
You may not like the implications of this. It might make you uncomfortable, but that is true.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI.
He got a point with that. He definitely has a point. If it was Kamala, they would be up in arms. But because it's Trump, they just follow anything that he does. And I think that this is also a problem with party loyalty. This is a bigger conversation. Party loyalty, where if your party is doing something wrong, you're afraid to call it out. You should not be afraid to call it out. Not at all. Like, you should want to hold your party accountable. And, you know, one thing that I say that I like about Republicans, but are also, it's scary, is that no matter what, they stick by their guy. Democrats, they do not stick by their guy. And this is why we're in the situation that we're in right now. Republicans have this dying loyalty. They literally see their politician as the next coming of Jesus, the second coming of Jesus. That's what they see their politicians as. So, you know, what he's saying is true. 80% of Republicans would support it. Like, they'll find a way to spin it. We even see with the Epstein files, they have found a way to spin it. There's some people saying like, oh, well, the ages weren't really that bad. You know, they were 15, 16. You know, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Never any age is bad that's under 18, but come on now. And so you see like them making excuses. Anything that Trump does, they pacify it. They make excuses or they find some kind of way to spin it to make it sound good. And it's all like, no, wrong is wrong. Even with the whole 8 video with the Obama, there were still people trying to spin it and be like, oh, well, you know, Trump, he didn't really mean it. And, oh, it was a meme and you taking it like anything that happens with him that's negative, they will find a way to spin it. They do not care. Trump has shown you who he is. He doesn't care. At his inauguration, when those billionaires were all there, that should have told you who he was there to support. He didn't have no hillbilly trash, trailer trash there. He had the billionaires there.
He did, and I want to say this clip. All right, guys, so I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to switch these clips out, and I'm going to get us ready for the next live stream. So you guys stay tuned for the next one, and